What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Stadium Drive Week 4. We are back at Whirlwind Stadium here at West Muskingum High School, and this game feels like it should be at Week 10 of the year. This feels like the MVL Small School Division Championship tonight. We've got the West Muskingum Tornadoes taking on the New Lex Panthers. New Lex 3-0 on the year. They defeated Morgan in a monsoon, 30-0. West M gave threw a really good punch at Garaway, who hasn't lost a regular season game in over 3 seasons, and just came up just short, 20-13. Will Ford joining you here with Storied Rivals Sports Media. Thanks so much for tuning in live on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Thanks for making high school football part of your Friday night. We'll go over other games in our coverage area later on in the show. But this one, like I said, this feels like the MVL Small School Division Championship on the line tonight. And you hate to put so much pressure on a game that is it's the 4th game of the season. We're almost midway through the year. You hate to put that much pressure on kind of an early season game, but that's kind of what it feels like. And it seems like whoever's won this game the last couple of years wins the MVL Small School. Last year it was West Muskingum. The year before it was the New Lex Panthers. And so that's what this feels like tonight. And it's a chance for New Lex to kind of get tested for the first time. Through 3 games, they haven't really faced a whole lot of adversity. They were kind of close with Philo up until the early second quarter and then really pulled away. But other than that, they've kind of cruised through 3 weeks, whereas West Muskingum, if you look at their schedule, in Week 2 they take on Licking Valley, a traditional powerhouse football program, beat them in overtime after coming back from double digits. And then you look at last week, taking on Garaway, who had a Final Four finish last year, and they were leading 13-6 in the 4th quarter. And really, if it wasn't for a bad snap on a punt that was recovered at the 1-yard line, you hate to say that one play decides the game because there was still plenty of ball game left, and West Muskingum certainly had their chances to win it. But if that play doesn't happen, I mean, the Tornadoes were in control for most of that game. Garaway narrowly escapes, and they extend their regular season winning streak to 33 games, which dates back to the first week of 2021. Their last loss coming in, I believe, week 6 or 7 of the COVID-shortened season back in 2020. So West M, this program has turned into something special, and now it's their 3rd straight week in a row of a tough test. Pretty unbelievable, effort so far, and they've got to do it again here tonight. But let's hop into one of 2 interviews tonight, and we'll start with the home team, the West M Tornadoes. Nathan Brownrigg talking about this run that they've been through. The schedule makers didn't really do them any favors. This run through the last 3 weeks, just really proud of his guys. Another tough test against this New Lex offense that has really found its balance through the air, on the ground. Talks about this stretch and talks about just how proud he is of his guys through this early season and these games and these challenges that they've faced so far. So here is head coach Nate Brownrigg, the West M Tornadoes, on Stadium Drive, Week 4. Thanks so much for joining us live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. And here's Coach.
Storied Rivals is really lucky because we get 2 weeks in a row of Nate Brownrigg joining us on Stadium Drive for Week 4 and taking on the New Lex Panthers in what should be a really, really exciting game. But thanks for being here, Coach, and hopping on 2 weeks in a row. I want to go back to last week again in the game against Garaway just for a moment because, I mean, Friday was just a bad day, I think, for everybody weather-wise. We had the rain, we had lightning delays. Your game was delayed until 8 o'clock, and then halftime hits, and we're 2 minutes from going out to start the second half, and then we have to sit in the locker room again for it felt like another 30-45 minutes. What is that like? I mean, take the delay at the beginning of the game out, because I think we all kind of expected that, just going into the night. But when you are playing as well as you're up 7-0 going into the half, I think it was at the time, and we're just about to go back out on the field. You're feeling good. You've got all the momentum, and then you have to sit for 30 minutes or whatever it was. And not that you guys weren't locked in or anything like that, but the emotion just kind of comes down and everything. Just talk about that for me.
Yeah, I think we talked about it in pregame and then again at halftime, and you take moments like that and just kind of really re-emphasize what we talk about all the time, and that's like control what we can control. And we have zero control over the weather, we have zero control over things like delays and stuff like that. So all we can do is control how we respond, what our effort, what our attitude, what our toughness, all those things that we kind of preach all the time are about. And so that was really our message at the beginning. It was our message at halftime, and I do think that the delay, maybe put a damper on things a little bit, but in reality, it was just at the end of it, Garaway was able to capitalize on a few of our mistakes and able to make some plays. They had some guys step up, running back being probably the biggest one of those guys that was able to step up and make plays in really excuse me, in really big moments. And like I said, excuse me, we were. Didn't practice well last week, and so I think that was kind of a result of that, and that's kind of what we talked about afterwards and heading into this week.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, you guys played an awesome first half. Really, Garaway just could not move the ball offensively at all. And then you come out second half, and it really, if it wasn't for maybe the one play with the punt that kind of set up, Garaway at the 1 yard line. I mean, you hate to say that one play kind of decides the game, but it was certainly a big play that kind of changed the game a little bit and gave Garaway some momentum. I mean, outside of that play and everything that happened and whatnot, and Garaway was able to come out with a close win at the end. I mean, how proud are you of the guys just knowing the last couple of weeks, kind of like what you've been through adversity wise, because you had a really emotional overtime win, over Licking Valley. And then you give Garaway, who was a Final Four finisher last year, your best punch. And they just barely, escape. I mean, the last couple weeks, how proud are you of the guys?
Oh, absolutely. I'm always going to be proud of our guys. We've got to the point now where, our effort, our toughness, is, not never going to be outdone on a Friday night. What we've kind of taken from these past 2 weeks though is that that's not always enough. Especially in big games against really good opponents, opponents that are used to being there. It can't just be showing up on Friday nights. Those things have to happen every day during the week in your preparation, in your focus, and those little moments where we were unable to execute in game. Some of those, and again, as a coach, it's much easier after a loss to reflect and say, what, we need to spend more time on this. We need to make sure we address this or that. So we've done that, but at the same time, we put a lot on the players, especially the leaders, to kind of make sure that we're a little more focused in practice and recognize that executing those things in practice are just as important because when you have that and you've done it multiple times through the week and whatever that situation is that we're trying to simulate, then they're ready for it come Friday night. But and we talked a lot coming into this stretch that those two, I think I said this last week, that those two games were kind of bonus games for us. One, from a measuring stick standpoint, again, we're talking about two programs that are very well respected and established, two coaches, the coaching staffs that do an awesome job, and players that play hard and know how to win. And again, what we've preached to the kids all week is that the difference between those two games, because on the other side of that, Garaway really didn't get our best punch. We haven't played well yet, and so in one hand, that's kind of hopeful because hey, listen, guys, if we can figure it out and put it together, we can be pretty dangerous and pretty good team. But again, it's got to come down to how we prepare and stuff like that. And looking at those two games, really similar way we played in both of them. But going into Licking Valley, we had 3 out of 4 really solid practice days, and against Garaway, we had 3 out of 4 really subpar days. And I think that having those preparation days go right in week 2 is what allowed us to kind of get over that hump and win a close game. And then them not going right is what kind of put us behind and ended up with the result we had last week.
Now, the schedule makers didn't really do you any favors because now you've got your third game in a row that's just kind of, I mean, it's just you're going up against another really, really good team and program that's been successful the last couple of years in New Lex, and they're 3-0. You could say that maybe they haven't been necessarily tested yet. I mean, they've kind of dominated in all 3 games that they've played, but their offense looks like it's really balanced. They can move the ball through the air. Like Stevens, their quarterback, can run it. He can throw it. Bentley Hansen seems like he's his number one target. He's got, I think, 4 touchdowns through 3 games this year. But then Carson Kellogg, last week had 140 yards, a touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown too. So it looks like they're just so balanced offensively. How do you prepare for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. Coach Board, a ton of respect for him and the way he runs his program. I think we're really similar in the things that we value and the way we preach and try to play. Not really from a schematic standpoint. They're much more open and do a lot of things formationally to try to get their guys in space. But there's no doubt they have a ton of weapons. It's really hard to key in on one guy. So it's going to take, assignment football, disciplined football, really getting guys focused and getting them on the ground, when we have the opportunity to. But yeah, I mean, there's really, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we want to slow them down, we want to grind something out, whatever, because really once the game gets going, it kind of goes the way that it goes. But definitely the idea is to contain them, get them off rhythm, off schedule. They're a team that likes to change up tempos and things like that. So, teams that want to do that, it's much easier for them to do so if they're successful on first down, and then they can get, kind of keep going. So, we're a big focus for us has been to contain them, to hold them on those early downs and get them off schedule and kind of digging into their bag to figure out what they want to do game plan wise, and not just let them dictate things. So, but like you said, and we said, there's weapons everywhere. So we're just gonna have to play, solid team, relentless football.
Does this game, I mean, you hate to kind of put a lot of pressure on one game. It's only week 4 in the regular season, but does it kind of feel like, just with the energy, like it's almost a game for the MVL Small School Division Championship? I mean, you guys are playing well and they're playing well. And I mean, does it kind of have that kind of feel to you, even though it's a week 4 game?
Oh, absolutely. And, again, there's a long way to go for both of us. But
Right.
just the way that the schedule's played out the last couple of years, the winner of this game has gone on to win the MVL Small School. And so, it is, the schedule is the way that it is. And so all we can do is play who's in front of us. And I actually just said this to the guys when we walked off practice today. There's no reason to be nervous in a game like this, because you take care of all that stuff during the week. And again, our focus is on that solid preparation and the way we practice. And so we've had a really good week of that. And so I think our guys are ready to go. And once things get going, this things like nerves and pressure goes away, because then you just lean on your training, lean on your preparation, lean on your teammates, and that's stuff that we preach all the time. But there's no doubt it's a big game. It's going to be a good atmosphere. Again, pretty lucky to play in 3 weeks in a row that are essentially like playoff type atmospheres this early in the season. And so, definitely, I think the last 2 weeks really prepared us for, a game like this. I have no doubt that, even though the New Lexington's games have been blowouts, that they're going to come in well prepared and ready to execute and excited and ready to go, because they got a lot of senior guys that played last year, that are itching for it to be their turn. So we're gonna have to match that and overcome it. And again, our message is always just kind of do everything we do together and lean on each other, and on both sides of the ball, and go out and execute the game plan.
It feels like a week 10 game we should be having in week 10 that we're going to be playing in week 4, but we're excited for it coming up tomorrow. Thanks for hopping on today, Coach. 2 weeks in a row, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and I love talking football with you. So,
absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
The reverse was so nice that head coach Nate Brownrigg had to do it twice. Both touchdowns scored on the reverse. Carter Smith, Braxton Brownrigg, a 30-yarder from Braxton, 37-yarder from Carter Smith. Did come in the loss to Garaway, though. But, man, Coach Brownrigg pulling out all the stops. The Uno reverse card, scored 2 touchdowns off of it against an overcommitting Garaway defense, starting 8 new guys this year, and came up just short in pulling that one out and ending the Pirates' 33, well, it would have been 32 at the time, winning streak in the regular season, 32 games. But let's bring it back to me here for a second. If I can switch cameras, that would be great. Hello again. Here I am. We're here at Whirlwind Stadium, and it is pretty windy here this evening, but much better weather-wise than what we had a week ago. I mean, gosh, the rain was just coming down. We were delayed until 8 o'clock, and then we had another lightning delay at halftime right before both teams were about to come back out. I know John Glenn played on Saturday, and I mean, last Friday was just a mess. But it seems like we've got better weather tonight. Say that 10 times fast. And we're in store for a good one. Let's hop into the interview now with head coach Kevin Board. 3-0 on the year, the New Lex Panthers are against the Morgan Raiders. They ran the ball really, really well. Carson Kellogg had 140 yards, a touchdown, had a receiving touchdown as well. And the Panthers offense, they've been moving the ball well through the air and on the ground. Seems like all season long. Really looking balanced. And Coach Board talks about that and talks about this exciting challenge with the West End Tornadoes. It's really their first big test of the year, and it's week 4, Stadium Drive, live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Here's head coach.
All right, well, Kevin Board is back here on Stadium Drive for Week 4. The New Lex Panthers 3-0 on the year. Coach, thanks for being here, first of all. But a 30-0 win against Morgan in Week 3, and you just said it was one of the wettest games, top 2 wettest games that you've ever played in. I guess take me into the mind of a coach on a Friday night. You're playing in a monsoon. I'm sure, lightning delays, having to stop and restart. I don't know if you had to deal with that on Friday last week, but just take me through, I guess, that mindset where you're just miserable for 3, 4, maybe even 5 hours.
Thanks for having me, Will. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the work you guys do. Friday was absolutely one of the wettest games I've been a part of. I think my 4th year coach, and there was a game that we played in sideways rain. That was a very wet experience as well. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't like looking at the weather reports. I like to, if I see that it's sunny, I just stop looking and hope that it decides to stay. If I look and see rain, I'll keep checking until I get a forecast that I like, and then I'll stop checking because I hope that one becomes permanent. But it's something that, with outside sports, you just got to deal with. And it's a frustrating thing. I'm a routine guy. We have meetings at this time. The quarterbacks and running backs and centers go out at this time. Receivers go out at this time. And so when you throw all that off, I'm a little out of my wits, right? But I think kids that I think they appreciate a routine, whether they want to admit it or not. That they get into a rhythm of doing what they do, and this would have been week 5 of doing the same thing. It was your scrimmages. We try to emulate a game, so our pregame rituals are the same thing. So I commend them first and foremost before we get into kind of what we were dealing with, but just being able to deal with that. Because we stepped out on the field, we started warming up, and then we got a lightning delay after already being delayed to begin with. So then we go out, we stretch, and then we lightning. So then we go back inside, and you got to wait 30 minutes, and then there's a lot of uncertainty. And then it's like, all right, we're going back out at this time. And then we go out, and then there's another lightning delay about 15 minutes into our stretch period. So then we got to go back inside for another 30 minutes. So we started, I think, around 8:30, I believe, is when we actually got to finally kick off. But like I said, just the uncertainty, and are we even going to get to play tonight, or are we going to have to put this off until Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon? Saturday really wasn't in the cards. Morgan County Fair was last week, so they said Saturday's really not an option. We'll stay as late as we can to try to get this in tonight because they had a lot of guys out that Saturday with things with their fair and things, and so we everybody wants to get the game in. You owe the kids that opportunity and that experience. So thankfully, the weather held off for a little bit and we were able to get it in. But man, was I wet, and I'm sure the kids were too. But I hate being rained on. The kids know, if there's rain, I usually we have a little gym across from the road that we can kind of go and walk through some things. So sometimes I think they hope for rain because they know that I don't want to get wet, and we'll go over there in the gym and. I think they kind of put fun at me a little bit. I don't appreciate that, but yeah, like I said, we got out, we got to play. The kids had fun. A couple of them were slipping, sliding after the game. So At the end of the day, we got to play football, and that's really all that matters.
It's safe to say you weren't slipping and sliding out there. Maybe in your shoes a little bit, just sloshing around in your shoes.
Yeah, and I usually got a backup pair of clothes in my car, but I must have used them and forgot to replenish my stash, so had to ride home in wet clothes. My socks were wet. So wet. But it was bad. It was really raining.
Well, the bright side is
first quarter it just like poured. We just got poured on. It wasn't just a sprinkle or a mist. It was like just downpouring, and so like we're just dripping and wet. Not good.
No, not good at all. I mean, I was at the West End Garaway game, and I mean, it was the same thing for us. I mean, after about the first quarter, it just poured, and then we got a lightning delay at halftime and whatnot. So I feel your pain, but the bright side is that you did come away with a 30-0 win. So I guess if you have to deal with that every week and you get a win, then you'll take it, I guess. So
yeah, would rather not deal with the rain part. I'll take the wins, but no, we played well.
Yeah.
There's some circumstances and some situations that are not ideal, but I thought our kids did a good job handling that adversity, and they were able to kind of ride those ups and downs, because I mean, you start going out to warm up, or you're getting close to game time, your nerves, your anxiety goes up a little bit, and then you got to come back down. So I just feel like their nervous system is just spiking and crashing on Friday. It's like, well, I just hope we can play through the fourth quarter. Because I think our emotions are like wearing thin right now, because we haven't even got to go out and play, but we're feeling like we're going to. But like I said, we went out and played. Obviously, you gotta play your game plan according to the weather, not necessarily what you'd like to do. So we ran a little bit more than what we typically do. We threw a little bit less, but like I said, all things considered, we got to go play ball. We came out with the win, so tough to be too upset.
No, yeah, and I remember when we talked week one, and I asked you about the pass game and everything, and you were like, "Well, it's not really like what I want to do. I want to be more balanced." And we got to see a little bit more of that this week. Granted, the weather kind of obviously played a role in the game script in a way, but I mean, Carson Kellogg had a terrific day on the ground. I mean, he touched it 26 times, rushed it 26 times, 140 yards, a touchdown, and then had a receiving touchdown too. I'm sure that it's nice. Granted, he was going to touch the ball more anyways because of the rain, but I'm sure it's nice to see that that's working, and he's getting his touches, and the run game looks good. And now on an ideal day with better weather conditions, with the pass game doing its thing, Carson in the backfield, I'm sure you feel really good about the two working in tandem now.
Yeah, absolutely. The closer you are to 50-50, the harder it is for a defensive coordinator to try to stop you, where you're not relying so heavily on just one thing. I feel like not just our 5 starting skill guys plus Isaiah at quarterback, but we've got about 4 other guys that we feel confident on a Friday night can go out and play, that I feel like we've just got so many guys that can get touches that that to me is the epitome of a spread offense. I kind of steal that from Mike Leach, that when we talk about spread, we're spreading around the touches. And I know I mentioned that to you last time, that a lot of teams will say Bentley Hansen's their best receiver. It's like, well, Tyson Spicer's pretty good. Owen O'Brien's pretty good. Talent had 35 catches last year. Carson's pretty good. Isaiah's a dangerous runner. So I think we have multiple guys that can make plays. So it was good that Carson kind of had his day. The receivers kind of took a back seat, but part of that too is they got to go out and work on their blocks. And there was Talon had several really good blocks. Owen O'Brien as a receiver, guy, he just wants to catch the football, But Isaiah pulled it on his own read, and Owen makes the block that seals the touchdown. So I think we talk a lot about having value and being a star in your role. And if the only way that you bring value to a game is if you have the ball in your hands, it's very difficult. There's only so many touches you can get. But if you can bring value with blocking, with effort, with being a great teammate, that's what's going to help us be a better team, where you're not pouting because you're not getting the ball. You find other ways to bring value to the team. And I thought our receivers did that very well.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, week 4, you've got West Ham, who they took Garaway to the brink. And honestly, outside of maybe one bad play, they kind of controlled the entire game. And one bad play kind of potentially cost them the game with that muff snap on the punt, set Garaway up at the 1, and then Garaway just kind of they were able to close out the game. But I mean, Garaway, they got West Ham's best punch. And I'm sure that when you look at the film of that game, you see that you've got a pretty tough challenge on your hands with the Tornadoes this week. And honestly, it could be a game that Granted, it's early, it's, we're almost mid-season, but kind of you look at that as like an MVL Small School Division championship game in a way.
Yeah, no, I could tell you without looking at the film that West M's going to be good. Coach Brownrigg does a phenomenal job. He's a great person, a great coach. His kids play hard, and so like I said, before looking at the film, you're going to know going into the week that you're going to get a really good football team. I know a lot of people look at them as losing a lot from last year, but they bring nearly all their skill guys back. They lose 40-something touchdowns with Rashid, but everybody else is back. Quarterback, running back, all the receivers. But yeah, when you look at the film, man, they play hard. They play very hard. They play very physical, and I think that when you're a coach, that's really what you want. Is you want your, if nothing else, whether you're winning or losing, your kids play hard, and I think that their kids absolutely do that. They've had 2 closer games here with Licking Valley with the overtime walk-off win, and then like you said, the Garaway. They lost by 6, I think, or 1 touchdown.
It was 20-13, I believe it was.
7. So. You got two very close ball games that could have went either way. So they, I think, from an outsider's perspective, they're going to look at it as, well, New Lex hasn't been tested because their games are a little bit more spread, our way. We haven't had really necessarily a close game, so to speak. Where they've had 2 kind of close ones. So, our kids are going to have to be able to step up to that challenge. Those kids are battle tested. They've had some adversity. They've had some moments where. Things haven't went their way and they've battled back. Obviously, with the Licking Valley, they came out on top. The Garaway, they didn't, but they've been in that pressure situation. And certainly our kids in the Philo game, we had some. It was a neck and neck ball game, and then we were able to kind of close it out. So I don't look at that as necessarily being an advantage or disadvantage. I think we just got to go out and play the game that we know how and execute our game plan. But they're very tough, very physical, and well coached, sound in all they do.
Yeah. Now, when you look at it defensively, because like Jake Anton, he's really developed as a passer, but Garaway, they kind of sent a lot of pressure his way during that game, and he dealt with it really well. Honestly, he was able to tuck and run, and he picked up some big first downs with his legs, and honestly, kind of handled that pressure really well. When you look at it, obviously you want to mix it up and give him a lot of different looks just to try to confuse him and just put some pressure on him in that way, but. Like, do you bring a lot of pressure the same way Garaway did? It's kind of, I guess you're kind of in a quandary because of how well he handled what Garaway brought. How do you look at it defensively?
I always feel like, man, we're gonna focus more on what we do and less of what somebody else does. I think if we continue to improve on things that we do, regardless of what coverage or defensive front we're going to get, if our technique is superior, we're going to go out and execute. That we're going to do what we do. We don't want to feel like we want to try to change and do this week, that the next week. Jake's a 3-year starter. He's going to make plays. He's taken some shots, and he's also won a lot of ball games. He's led them to their playoff wins the last 2 years. So I don't look at it as a guy that maybe gets startled. Certainly they're figuring some things out up front with the newer offensive line this year, but he's battle tested. He's got a lot of games under his belt, and each year as a quarterback, more than any position on the field, each year of experience you have is like 2 years everywhere else. Isaiah from last year to this year looks 10 times better because he's got that year under his belt. Where Jake's got 3. It's his 3rd year as a starter, so he's went through some losses, he's went through some wins, and so he's a guy that I don't think he's going to be shaken easily. Certainly, there's some things that we feel like we can do and want to do to attack him. To put a little pressure and confuse him, but. At the end of the day, we're going to be who we are. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to try to mix some things up to where we're playing within ourselves. But I don't know that he's necessarily a guy that's going to be rattled by a lot of things.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt. No, but I appreciate you hopping on today, Coach, to talk about the wet win that you had in Week 3, but previewing this big time Week 4 matchup, man, because when you look at it on paper, it looks like it should be Week 10 of the year, deciding the MVO championship, just the way that you guys are playing right now to this point in the year. But thanks for coming on today, man. Best of luck, and go get to 4-0.
All right, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Will. I appreciate you having me.
The Panthers didn't only weather the storm, they were the storm, and they brought the storm, courtesy of Carson Kellogg. 139 rushing yards on 26 carries, a rushing touchdown. Also had a receiving touchdown with 44 receiving yards in their 30-0 win over the Morgan Raiders to move to 3-0 on the season, a chance to get to 4-0 in what seems like the MVL Small School Division Championship game here tonight. A great atmosphere here at West Muskingum High School, a much better atmosphere than what we had last Friday. They unveiled the new scoreboard, which was right above me, but then it kind of put a damper on the night with the storms and the delays and everything like that. Much better atmosphere tonight with much better weather, even though it is a little bit windy. But let's take you through some games that are going on around our coverage area here tonight. Let's start with East and Northeastern Ohio for Week 4. We've got Smithville at Dalton. Dalton playing really good football right now. Garaway escaping West End in Week 3. They host another traditional powerhouse in Cardinal Mooney. Ridgewood hosting Utica. Talmadge going to take a trip to Barberton. Union Local coming off a nail-biting win last week, taking on Harrison Central. John Glenn, a loss to Indian Valley in Week 3, looking to rebound against Coshocton at home. Sheridan and Maysville going to do battle at the MAC. Meadowbrook, after a huge rivalry win against Cambridge, they're going to take on Crooksville. Philo at Riverview. Tri-Valley making a statement in the state of Ohio with a win over Clinton Massey last week. They're going to take on Morgan. Of course, the New Lex West End game here tonight, and then Zanesville at Columbus Academy. And then we'll take a look at the other side of the schedule for Central and Western Ohio. The Elks going to Fairmont. Dublin Kaufman at Pickerington North. Dublin Scioto is playing host to Westerville South. Olentangy Orange and Gahanna Orange looking really good right now, 3-0. Gahanna hasn't looked so strong offensively the last few weeks, but looking to rebound. That should be a really good matchup because Gahanna's been really good the last couple of years. Grandview Heights at Bexley. Granville, their offense is rocking and rolling right now, hosting Washington Courthouse. The Township of Hamilton going to Fairfield Union. Hilliard-Davidson at Hilliard-Darby. Jonathan Alder hosting North Union. UA and New Albany going to do battle. Olentangy's hosting Central Crossing. Olentangy Liberty, 31 seniors, looking rock solid in Division I at Olentangy Berlin. And Westerville Central is at Dublin Jerome. So that's the schedule. And all the teams highlighted in blue, those are the teams that we film throughout the year. So make sure you follow us on the socials just for updates on scores throughout the night. I'll be posting highlights of this game, West End New Lex, and we'll get that one going. What time is it now? Almost 10 till. We've got about 10 minutes till kickoff, so we're ready to get rocking and rolling here at Whirlwind Stadium. New Lex, I believe, is going to receive the first half kickoff, so they'll get the ball first, and West End will get it to start the second half. Before we get out of here, let's take a look at the last 10 matchups between these two teams. It's one-sided. New Lex has won 8 of the last 10 matchups between the two teams, but West End has won 2 of the last 3, including last year and in 2021. 34-13 last year, West End won. 35-31 in 2021. But New Lex won the Small School Division Championship in 2022 and won this game 26-13. But New Lex dominated the series. You know, West End had fallen on some hard times with this program. Coach Brownrigg really turned it around. They've won 2 of the last 3, but New Lex did win 7 in a row the last 10 years. From 2014 to 2020. But there it is, and it really feels like the MVL Small School Division Championship is on the line tonight, and let's get to it. Make sure you follow us on X for updates on all the games you're looking forward to following tonight, and thanks so much for joining us for Stadium Drive Week 4. Next week, it's Week 5, man. That's pretty crazy, isn't it? That it snuck up on us so fast, and now it's already middle of the season almost. So let's enjoy this one tonight, though. I want to give a shout-out to one of our sponsors real quick before we go. Not even a quick shout-out. These guys deserve all the love in the world. MaxEffortMuscle.com, real supplements for real athletes. And at a couple of the games in the area that we are at, we give out a T-shirt, some swag, and some supplements to who we believe is the Max Effort Muscle player of the game at a couple different games. But leave a comment down below who you think is going to win this game between New Lex and West M, and who would win player of the game. Who is that in your opinion? But we love the guys at Max Effort Muscle. We appreciate everything that they do. I don't know if you can see the shirt that well with the wind kind of whipping a little bit, but there it is. We love those guys, and we appreciate everything they do for us, and we love supporting them. So, but let's get out of here. Let's play some football, man. Small School Division Championship, I feel like, is on the line tonight. So much energy, and it's going to be a good one. But I'm going to get out of here. Will Ford signing off for now with Storied Rivals, and we'll see you in Week 5 for Stadium Drive. Thanks so much.